Alright, what's going on, people of YouTube, specifically people here at Juicy TechTalk, and welcome to this episode of TechTalk, which is a weekly series which I talk about technological news over the week. Now, this actual series started over on my channel 101 TechHacker, but ever since the announcement of Juicy TechTalk and my request to embark on this technological journey with Juicy TechTalk, I decided to move this series over here. So let's not waste any time and get on with this episode. Since it's almost the end of 2013, for this episode of Tech Talk, I want to talk about top 5 technological things that happened in this year and that really caught my eye. First up, the Leap Motion. For many of you that don't know what the Leap Motion is, it is a tiny device, literally it could fit in the palm of my hand, that retails for about £70 and is compatible with Mac and PC. But you're probably thinking right now, what does it do? Have you ever wanted to be like a Jedi Knight and just stroke your hand over the screen and just make the computer do what you want to do without physically touching anything? Well, this can be possible with the Leap Motion. It is just a tiny device that can rest under your computer monitor, and practically you can hover your hand over it and it can do whatever you want it to do. So if you've ever wanted to do this, then the Leap Motion could be a product for you. It is amazing. I've reviewed it, I've tested it, and I loved it. There were quite a few bugs, but I haven't used it for so long that there might have been some updates that actually fixed the bugs and kind of smoothened out the process of using it. Just more to it, the Leap Motion is now integrated with a few laptops. The Leap Motion have in fact made deals with Asus and HP to integrate it with laptops, and we could see this in 2014. But if you don't want to wait that long and you have an extra $1,000 lying around, then you can get the HP NV17 laptop Leap Motion Special Edition. Moving on to the next best tech of this year, in my opinion, I would have to say is the Canon 70D. That's right, this year Canon have announced the 70D from its predecessor, the Canon 60D. But you're probably thinking, what does it have to offer that my Canon 60D can't do? Well, the 70D has a 20.2 megapixel sensor built into the camera. That's right, this is probably the first thing I actually noticed, because I've never seen a Canon camera go over 18 megapixel that's under £1,000. Mostly you will see this with Nikon, where something like, I forgot the camera's model name, but it would cost something around £500–600, and it would still have a good actual sensor around about 20.1 megapixels, but always above 18 megapixels, which is really good. It also does have multiple exposures, so you can always change your quality brightness on the camera directly. Let's just say you are shooting a video outside and all of a sudden it becomes cloudy and dark. You can bump up the exposure as well as have multiple exposures, but also there is a higher ISO rate. Also with the Canon 70D, you do get the new dual pixel CMOS AF technology built into the camera, which is the latest technology from Canon and allows for more pixels for you pixel lovers. Also, this new camera has the Digic 5 Plus CPU, which is the latest CPU built into newer cameras. I believe the camera that I'm using, the Canon 650D, has the Digic 5. Not so sure about that, but just thought I'll let you know about this new Canon 70D, which also does 7.0 frames per second for all you frames per second lovers. Best bet is you could get it for around about £900 with a lens, which is quite reasonably cheap for a new camera with such great qualities. Next best tech is the Nokia Lumia 1020 Windows Phone. Oh my god, he mentioned a Windows Phone, this must be a rubbish video. No, it's not, don't judge the Windows Nokia Lumia 1020. This is actually a really good phone, and let me tell you why. The phone itself has a 768 by 1280 screen that goes by 4.5 inches with a PPI of 332, which is reasonably decent, even though it's not 1080p, but it does the job. As well as having 2 gigs of RAM, this phone has a whopping 41 megapixel camera. I might not have to move on to my next point, because the 41 megapixel camera just eliminated every other spec on this phone, but I'm just going to carry on for the rest of you guys that are interested. It does also have a dual core Snapdragon S4 processor that goes at 1.5 GHz with Adreno 225 GPU. All this bundled together would cost you about £400. Not really pricey, not really cheap. Right there in between with some good specs. Next up, iPhone 5S. Now I don't want to talk about the Apple screen because it's somewhat similar to of the iPhone 5 just because of the fact of that 4.8 screen, but regardless, this phone is amazing, and not because of its screen, just because of other reasons. It does once again have that 1 gig of RAM and 8 megapixel camera, but again, that's not the reason you might want to purchase this phone. It also has a fingerprint scanner. This fingerprint scanner is unique. It did make other competitors put finger scanners on their phone, but it's not something that I could be using every day. Again, you may want to purchase the phone because of the fingerprint scanner, but if I was to purchase the phone, I wouldn't purchase it because of that. I would purchase it because of the fact that it has a 64-bit processor architecture built into this phone. Come on, 64 bits on the phone. This is the first time I have ever seen this, and you get 64 bits on a computer. That you can literally run on your computer. What you run on your computer could run on your phone thanks to the iPhone 5S 64-bit architecture. And I can't say architecture because it sounds like a little tongue twister to me. But regardless, 64-bit is amazing. Okay, it is a dual-core 1.8 GHz processor, so you're probably thinking it's not going to be really fast. But the Nokia Lumia 1020 had a 1.7 GHz dual-core processor, so why is the iPhone 5S going to be faster? Because of that 64-bit processor. I don't want to say architecture, I just said it. But it is going to be faster because of that, and somewhat better because it will have desktop-like performance. But also there is the PowerVR G6430 quad-core GPU on this phone. So again, that graphics performance, the graphics performance is amazing on that phone. But all that, they're gonna have to splash out a bit, round about £549. And that's just for the 16 gig, I believe. So if you do want to go for the higher 64 gig, you're gonna have to splash out around about $750, which is a lot of money. And last but not least of me talking about best tech from this year, in my opinion, is going to have to be another phone, just because it just has to be. Not a Nokia phone, not a Windows phone, not a Samsung phone, not an iPhone phone. Why am I doing these gestures? But it is going to be the Motorola Moto G. This is an Android phone, of course, and it is created by Motorola, which Google own now. But this phone, it's amazing, not just because of what it has inside, but because of the price. Let me explain. 1280 by 720 screen at 4.5 inches with a 326 ppi, which is almost to the same level as the Nokia Lumia 1020 phone, but just a bit under that. Really nice screen, but it also has a 1 gig RAM, 5 megapixel camera, which is on the Sony Xperia SP, so not the best shooter out there, but here is where it gets a bit more interesting. The Moto G has the Snapdragon 400 processor at a quad-core 1.2 GHz. That's more cores than the Nokia Lumia and the iPhone 5S, but I don't want to talk about the 5S because that's got 64-bit, so that's in its own league. But again, it has the 400, but again, it has the Snapdragon 400, which is a new CPU, mid-range price point. I don't understand why the Nokia Lumia 1020 went for something like the Snapdragon 800. I think it didn't because that wasn't out yet, but still, you could have just waited a bit more for the 800. Really? S4? What? Either way, it has an Adreno 305 GPU, which is a fairly good GPU, and again, better than the Nokia Lumia 1020. I'm just gunning down that phone, but I apologize, they're both good phones. But again, the Moto G is good, and why is it good? Not because of all those specs, but just because of the fact of the price point. You could purchase this phone for as little as £100. That's right, a little as £100, and I guarantee you, if you want to get the 8 gig version, you will not pay more than £140. That is an absolutely utter bargain. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed this Tech Talk video, my first video on GC Tech Talk. Hope you enjoyed it. Tech Talk, I'll try to release it every week. If you did enjoy this video, rate, comment, subscribe, especially here to GC Tech Talk, where we have a lot of content coming, as well as that, check out my personal channel 101 Tech Hacker for all your technological needs, unboxing, reviews, etc., as well as here on GC Tech Talk. So thank you guys for watching this video, and hopefully I'll see you next week if I do release Tech Talk. If I don't, 101 Tech Hacker is the place to see my beautiful face. Yeah.